Welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Excuse me, sorry.
And we're two Americans living in Sweden, talking about the
playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
And we talk about the playoffs, man. I thought about something right before we came on, and we were talking as we always do before the show, but something popped up, and I was like, I want to talk about this in front of our listeners. There is, I don't know if you've been on Instagram, but I was up late watching some true crime documentary, as you do. And this was a horrible story, too, about this woman who got kidnapped, and the police are, every true crime documentary I've been watching, the police just suck.
Totally. I know exactly what you're talking about because I have also watched this documentary this past week, coincidentally. You're talking about American Nightmare. American Nightmare. Yeah. She gets kidnapped. There's this whole drama of like the boyfriend gets tied up, they get drugged. It's sort of like a ransom thing. Yeah. And then the cops just don't believe them.
Yeah,
it's like it's heartbreaking. But anyway, go ahead. I know what you're getting ready to say.
There's this woman who's like attached to the case somehow, knows somebody. She's friends with somebody.
She's the lawyer. She is the lawyer of the boyfriend.
Okay. Oh yeah.
She's the boyfriend's lawyer.
And I was just watching randomly, feeling bad, but at first I was like thinking he did it. He did something. But then they're talking to him, so I'm like, he couldn't have done. And then when she said, "What the fuck is going on? What is that about?"
Yeah.
I like paused and Sandra was walking by. She stopped. I was like, "Yo, look how this lady says fuck."
You know what it is? It struck me as she says it like a person. Like I feel like my father rarely cursed.
Right. Yep. She said like she don't curse. Yep.
But when he did, it sounded like he just learned how to curse. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't do it that much. Like I think for people like you and me who have decided, and our generation is basically decided, like we take the George Carlin route. There's no
we grew up on HBO.
There's no bad words. There's only bad intentions. Like you should be able to say all of these words. So we have embraced them, and we have embraced like the brilliance of a word like fuck and the different ways that you can use it. But she curses like someone who feels like doesn't really get a lot of opportunities to curse.
And what the fuck is that?
What the fuck? Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Sure. But anyway, this is SveNFL. We're gonna talk about football now, and it's the last. This is the games to determine who's going to the Super Bowl.
Yes, also known as the incredibly iconic Extra Crispy Conference Championship Round. I am excited. Yes. This Extra Crispy, that's how you got to go. For me,
go Extra Crispy. You don't want regular crispy.
Nah,
that don't get you to the Super Bowl.
No. You want Extra Crispy, whether it's chicken or crab cakes. You know what I mean? Oof. We're playing games in Baltimore. There's going to be some crab cakes going down this weekend.
I want crab cakes, man.
Don't you want a crab cake? I want one bad too. But you know what? I'm a little freaked out. I made crab cakes a couple of years ago here in Sweden, but I made it with that imitation crab meat.
Don't do that.
And then I recently learned, I don't even remember what it is, but I heard some kind of story about like the actual contents of imitation crab meat. And I just I can't do it anymore ever again. Yeah. It made my skin crawl. I was like, aha. I don't remember what it was, but it was something gross.
It's like the leftover, like all of the extra fish.
Right.
It's like their guts, and then they put it into like basically pump it together, and then like a mash, and then they squeeze it out.
And somehow like they get it to taste like crab meat.
Yeah.
Or some kind of artificial injection
like an artificial,
something?
Yeah.
Ugh, bro.
That they add in a plant. It's like made in a big plant.
It's like a hot dog of the sea.
Yeah, it's like
no thanks, can't do it.
And it used to be so good on a cracker.
It
used to be.
I can't do it anymore. I can't.
Nope.
I can't do it. I can't unhear what I've heard.
Man, man. But let's go through some news.
Oh my God, there's so much news. Let's try to rip through this. The first one, let's go with the big one first. Jim Harbaugh has officially left the University of Michigan to take the Chargers head coaching job. After saying 2 years ago that he was done chasing NFL jobs, there is nothing quite like multiple impending NCAA investigations to get a man to change his mind and give it another try. The Harbaugh,
he had a successful go.
He did. And, to be fair, this guy has a reputation of winning everywhere he goes.
Stanford.
Everywhere.
San Francisco. Michigan.
Ironically, I think one of his last actual jobs as a quarterback was playing for what was then the San Diego Chargers. So that's kind of funny.
Oh.
The Harbaugh brothers.
Wait. Let me check my memory.
He played for several teams. Bears.
Colts, Chargers is all I can think of. I remember Bears.
Did he play? He might have played for one more team after the Chargers was like late in his career, I think. He may have played for one more team. I don't remember. For those interested, the Harbaugh brothers will play each other next season. We don't have the date just yet, but when we do, you can all circle it on the NFL Narrative Cum Shot calendar, which will be sent out to everyone sometime in, June or July. Right. But I mean, obviously, the big question, which we don't know, is the mess that he's left behind at the University of Michigan is going to be significant. They are currently facing at least 2, maybe 3 huge level 1 violation accusations and investigations, including stealing the other team's play call signs. So it's no big surprise that Harbaugh essentially jumped ship, because had he stayed, he probably would have been suspended for the entire season. So he's like, fuck this. I got my national championship. You're welcome. Goodbye.
Plus the NCAA is stupid.
Extremely stupid. Next up, we have Antonio Pierce, hired as the Raiders head coach after replacing Josh McDaniels. He gets the interim job. Obviously, from within the locker room, we talked about this. There were a lot of players who said, fuck, you don't hire this man, you can fucking trade me right now. We'll see. I happen to think, why the hell not? You know what I mean? The guy loves the Raiders. He grew up rooting for the Raiders. He's obviously good at his job. For me, this is a smart hire. I like this.
Yeah.
You want someone who has the locker room, which clearly Josh McDaniels did not. You want someone who can really build the culture, like the kind of guy who can make you feel like you really care, like a Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? Like what Dan Campbell's done for the Lions, basically.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. Titans have also hired their head coach, Brian Callahan, the former Bengals offensive coordinator.
We're going to see what happens over there in Cincinnati.
That's interesting for both sides, for sure. I can tell you that Titans fans are still salty about the way they did Mike Vrabel.
Where's he at, man?
He's still out here in the wind interviewing.
Go ahead and say it. What's the next one?
Well, I'm not there yet. I'm almost there. The next one, it's in the division, but it's kind of fascinating. The Panthers essentially announced that they are hiring Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales as their next head coach. To me, this one's kind of one of the more fascinating ones. Not only do you have a guy who's moving from within the division, but with all these hotshot coaching candidates out there, this tells me that nobody wants this job.
Nobody want to go there.
No offense to Dave Canales, but there is no way that any of these top-level coaches are interested in working for David Tepper.
And there's no way Canales is going to be there for more than 2 years.
No.
As head coach.
No. I think this... I would hate to be a Panthers fan.
Didn't Baker Mayfield play for them, right? Or no?
Yeah. Yeah. He was there.
They're like, wow, if he made him look good...
Yeah.
He could be our head coach, the guy
exactly.
we got rid of.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. We're in the NFC South, so let's do this. I woke up this morning to discover that the Falcons have hired Raheem Morris as their new head coach. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not exactly sure how to feel about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm rooting for the guy. He's clearly had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay. We all know that. But after 14 separate coaching interviews with dudes like Vrabel, Harbaugh, Belichick, you give the gig to Raheem Morris, a guy who was already in the organization a few years ago. He took over for Dan Quinn when Quinn got fired. They didn't offer him the job then. I hope, obviously, for a million reasons that this works out, especially because the Falcons are going to get buried if this doesn't work. I mean, leaving all of those good coaches out there, it would be so Falcons to blow this.
But, like, are they saying they didn't choose Belichick because, I mean, like, they wanted to, or he had a bad second interview? Like, maybe Belichick was the one that didn't want to do it.
It's interesting because I think we'll start to learn more about this as time goes on, but there is already some reporting, some of these like people in the building speaking to us anonymously, la da 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 da. It appears to be true that even after they had two interviews and a dinner. Mm-hmm. One of the interviews took place in the Virgin Islands, for Christ's sakes. They fly Bill down on a private jet to the Virgin Islands to have his first interview with Arthur Blank. It's clear that they wanted Belichick.
Right.
But the issue that comes with hiring Belichick, which is the assumption that you would have to completely restructure your front of the office all of a sudden your general manager, who frankly has done a pretty good job since he got there, your president of operations, your CEO, all of these guys are long-term. Like one of the guys, I forget his name, he's been there since like the early 2000s, like from the beginning of the Arthur Blank time. Very, very loyal to this guy. The idea that Belichick is going to come in and you're just going to hand him the keys to the castle and let him be the king and do everything, it appears to be the reason why the Falcons did not offer him the job.
Is anybody going to?
That is apparently the presumptive narrative out there, that it's looking more and more likely. There's only 2 open positions left. It's looking more and more likely that Belichick is at the very least going to take a year off from coaching. There's only 2 jobs left. It's the Commanders and the Seahawks. That's it.
Well, he was rumored with the Commanders already. Has he interviewed with them?
Nope. The only team he has reported, the only reports of interviews for Belichick, it's only the Falcons. That's the only teams he's interviewed with, supposedly. As we know, that's as far as we know, basically. So on one level, I can understand why, look, I kind of wanted them to hire Belichick in part because of my inner agent of chaos and the irony, just loving this idea that we would hire the man who delivered our darkest historical moment. Like there's just something fun about that. The hype and attention. I mean, the Falcons would have instantly become relevant in a way that we've probably never have been, which I think would be kind of fun. But I'm also kind of glad because I don't really, the idea of Belichick rolling in and trying to install the Patriot way, which is starting to feel a little stale at the moment. And and
you've seen people try to do it too. It might only work in New England. And
you know that with Belichick, I mean, it's like the moment they hire Belichick, how long is it going to take before they announce that they just hired Josh McDaniels to be the OC and Matt Patricia to be the defensive coordinator? It's like, do I really, like, I've completely lost faith in that concept. Like in a way, I'm kind of glad that they hired Raheem Morris, because at least it's like, it just feels like a far more progressive choice. No disrespect to Belichick's career and what he's managed to accomplish. He deserves all of the accolades. Clearly going to be a Hall of Fame head coach. But at the same time, do you really want to just hand your entire organization over to this man right now?
I bet Arthur Blank did.
I think he really wanted to, but I think he probably. I think it was it's a tough choice to make, I think.
Man, Belichick should budge, man. I want to see him get that record and stuff,
I think he should budge too, because I don't think one thing that I think
it'd be more fun for him. Just coach, bro.
Because I think it's forgotten that, it's not like Belichick showed up in New England and he just immediately got the keys to the castle. He acquired this power, this level of control over the team over time. So the idea that someone would get in the building and acquire that control over time is a lot different than you just showing up out of nowhere saying, I want everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then knowing they're like, okay, this contract, we signed it for this and we're trying to do this with it. You know what I mean? This player, we want to do this, this scheme. You can explain what you need. I'm sure you can communicate. Just have an open line of communication, which he's probably just not into.
And Bill's no spring chicken. You hire Bill Belichick, you've got him for what? 2, 3, maximum 4 years? You're going to blow up your entire off the field football operational side for that? For 4 years? You know what I mean? I get it. I understand why they didn't offer him the job. Anyway, we can move on. Nick Sirianni has survived as the coach of the Eagles.
It would be stupid if they fired him.
But apparently they've fired all the coordinators.
Yeah, that's why their year wasn't as good.
It's being reported
they fired the coordinators that they had this year?
Yep. It's being reported that Sirianni will have a very limited say over the Eagles' offense next year. It sounds to me that Howie Roseman is essentially running things, and reporters are literally asking Nick Sirianni in press conferences, what is it exactly that you do here? You know what I mean? It's
did you say
each individual coach, each individual player, everybody in the building.
He is very much talking like that again.
I don't get it, man. The guy got you to the Super Bowl. What did they think? Who did they think got him there? Collaborative effort that got hired away.
I guess.
They're tripping.
Well,
man.
Interestingly enough, 24 hours later, the Eagles announced that they are hiring your guy Vic Fangio a day after he departed from the Dolphins. A lot was put, there was a lot of chatter about losing their defensive coordinator last year. Was a bit of a state. I think the Cardinals were actually accused, and I think they actually lost a draft pick because they tampered. They tampered
to get Jonathan Gannon. Okay.
To get Jonathan Gannon, which kind of pissed off the Eagles because the Eagles already had Fangio in the building.
Oh, okay.
When they were doing their as a defensive consultant when they had their Super Bowl run, and they let Fangio go because they assumed Gannon was staying, and Fangio had already gotten the job with the Dolphins by the time Gannon left, so they felt kind of fucked by the whole thing. Yeah. So anyway, Fangio is going to be the DC for the Dolphins. Interesting.
No, for the Eagles.
Yeah.
You said Dolphins. That's what.
Oh yeah, sorry, mix it up. The Bears are hiring Seahawks Shane Waldron as their new offensive coordinator. This is the man who turned around Geno Smith. Who was
not Justin Fields.
Who was about to get a chance to work with either Justin Fields or Caleb Williams.
Right.
Because the Bears have the number 1 pick in the draft. So that's, it's funny. The Bears had interviewed Cliff Kingsbury, which was quite fascinating because Kingsbury has spent the last year as the quarterbacks coach for USC working directly with Caleb Williams. So a lot of people thought he was going to get the gig, but didn't happen.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because he's getting propped up by quarterbacks, man. He got propped up by Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
Then he got propped up by Baby Yoda. Yep. And he's getting propped up by Caleb. Don't fall for that shit.
Yeah. Jaguars have hired Falcons defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen.
Damn.
To be their new
that's
DC.
Not good.
Yeah, that's not good. I was really worried about it until I woke up this morning and realized that we had hired Raheem Morris, who was also a defensive coordinator. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it. I'm good. But I was a little worried when it happened because I felt like Ryan Nielsen did a great job with the Falcons defense this year. The Jaguars defense is obviously very, very bad. So this is a smart move by them, in my opinion.
Yeah, they thought they didn't need a defense because they had a generational quarterback. So,
yeah, they thought that. Let's see. We're almost there. Packers have fired their defensive coordinator, Joe Barry.
Saw that coming.
Following their divisional round playoff loss to the 49ers. Had to happen.
Yeah, fans weren't with that shit.
Had to happen. It was a really up and down year for the Packers defense. They really have something interesting going on offense. And I think if they can get things sorted out on the defensive side of the ball, they could be one of those teams that's like, just make sure they don't score more than 10 points and we're going to win almost every game. You know what I mean? If they could put that together, then I think the Packers could be a really, really interesting team. We actually have a weird, unexpected acquisition for a playoff team. Lions backup tight end Brock Wright. He was injured in the divisional round, so the Lions have gone out and signed Zach Ertz.
Yeah, so
like just a few days ahead of the NFC Championship game, which is, you don't normally see players getting added this late in the playoffs. It's kind of, I don't know what to say about it other than like, just keep an eye out. Wouldn't it be fascinating?
And the Ravens did that too, right? They just signed.
Yeah, they signed Dalvin Cook. Yeah, they did.
That might be a big deal. Because he looked good at the end of that game.
He did look good at the end of that game. My last news story is an RIP. Former University of Georgia football mascot passed away in his sleep 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Ugga 10.
Ugga 10.
Ugga 10. Also known as Q, which is his real name. Ugga, the mascot for the University of Georgia Bulldogs from 2015 to 2022, has the best record of any mascot in Georgia football history, going 91-18, 2 national titles, a couple of SEC championships. He's been succeeded by Ugga 11, of course. But yeah, it's sort of a weird. It's this one guy from Savannah, Georgia, who has basically been providing Bulldogs for 50 years, and every time one of them dies, they just pop in a new one.
R.I.P. Q.
R.I.P. Q. Had to fit that in. Yeah. And now I kind of wanted, before we get into the flip 'em and pick 'em stuff, I kind of want to talk about these games a little bit. I've done a little bit of a deep dive.
Okay.
A couple of questions. First, I'd like to sort of a few numbers that I would like to throw at you to consider.
Right. Well, I want to ask you something first, though, because you did bring up something, sad in the death of Ugga 10. And I want to ask you, Skip, how is Ugga 10, a.k.a. Q, how is that Kyle Shanahan's fault?
It's really quite simple. I think that obviously after having won 2 national championships and a couple of SEC championships, Ugga 10 being, a football aficionado that he is, he feels like he's climbed to the mountaintop. And from the mountaintop, he looks down and he sees a man like Kyle Shanahan coaching the way he coaches. And he thinks to himself, you know what? There is no hope for the future of football. I think I'm just going to go out on top and fuck this Kyle Shanahan. I hope he loses in the NFC conference. I think this is a direct quote. This is his last words he said on his deathbed. I hope Kyle Shanahan loses. Yeah, I hope he has a kinship with the Lions, of course, because it's another creature from the animal kingdom. So he made it clear that as a creature of the animal kingdom, I am clearly rooting for the Lions. What the fuck is a 49er anyway? Fuck Kyle Shanahan. I'm out.
That's what the machine did when he was pieced out. Little paw piece. A-Town down.
A-Town down. G's up.
All right. Well, now I know.
Yeah.
Okay, we can now that we get that out of the way, we can talk about these matchups. You said what kind of numbers you digging into? I like this.
So, okay, first off, Ravens are favored by 4.
Mm-hmm.
Over under is 44.5. 49ers are favored by 7. Their over under is 51.5. Now, both of the Ravens and the 49ers played on Saturday last week.
Okay.
Which gives them an extra day of rest, right? Mm-hmm. And I discovered this week that the team with an extra day of rest in the conference title round for the last 13 years is 19-9.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Is it always the 1 seeds?
Let's see. I think I might actually.
Is that a part of the benefits of 1 seed?
I think so, yeah. So, okay, while the Chiefs and Lions, obviously, we're balling out on Sunday, the 49ers and Ravens are chilling at home, revenge tweeting all the haters in their lives who doubted them, because that's, what people do now. The 49ers are playing at home, as are the Ravens. Mm-hmm. And in the past 10 years, the home teams in the conference championship games for both the NFC and the AFC are 8-2 over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like advantage 49ers and Ravens there, clearly.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically, if we want to get into the Kansas City-Baltimore game, Lamar is playing for his first AFC title game against Mahomes, who only ever goes to the AFC title game, 6 straight. Mahomes has never not gone to the AFC title game since he's been the starter in Kansas City, which is absurd. That's absurd. Much has been made of the Chiefs' offensive woes this year. They obviously figured it out against the Bills in a big spot, but do we feel confident that they can do the same going up against
way better team defense?
My man, former Bulldog Roquan Smith, and the rest of the Ravens defense, which is playing lights out. Like, what do you think?
It's like really hard to count them out, but you're gonna get half a game of Kelsey. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get a full game of Mahomes, and him and Rice seem to have something now. And you're gonna get. I mean, you can't threaten that Ravens defense with Pacheco because they run hard too and they hit hard too. So I feel like the craziest thing is that 51. I don't know if 51 points coming out of this game, man. And we also can't forget about the other side, man. The Chiefs defense.
Correct.
That's the star of the game.
Agreed. For them, for sure. The reality is this. So on the defensive side of the ball, the Ravens defense gave up the fewest points per game this year, 16.5. Okay. They also led the league in sacks with 60. Sound familiar? Kind of sounds like the Eagles last year. Remember that? In the league in sacks, less points. Yeah. But the flip side of this, as you mentioned, is that the Chiefs are ranked pretty much right behind the Ravens in both of those categories. So this game, I agree with you, will probably have more to do with what happens on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. But I feel like this year, it feels like Mahomes is a little more mistake prone than Lamar.
Well, yeah. And the thing that's interesting about that, and there's some more numbers I can throw at you. Mahomes is only 1-3 in games where he's sacked 3 or more times. So,
and one is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When they lost to the Bucs. When they were killing them.
So far in the playoffs, Mahomes has been sacked a total of 0 times this year. 0.
And that's the exact amount of times they played the Ravens.
That's a good point. Mahomes, obviously, the way he makes things happen, he oftentimes feels kind of inevitable. But can we argue, in a way, I feel like, can we argue that Lamar has a major advantage in the weapons department? I mean, he's a better runner. He has good running backs. He has a lot more reliable receiver options, especially now that it looks like Mark Andrews might be making a miraculous comeback for this game as well. So you got Andrews, likely OBJ, Bateman, Flowers be balling. Who's the running back who's really good catching out of the back? Hill. I forget his first name.
Justin Hill.
He's really good at catching the ball out of the backfield too.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm of the opinion that the Ravens should win this game.
They should.
But as we have said so many times before, Mahomes always gives the Chiefs the opportunity to defy. He gives you a chance to defy the logic.
I think it's also Harbaugh going up against Andy Reid. And that seems like a big disadvantage.
Well, I think
and Steve Spagnuolo.
I think the disadvantage there, which I would agree with you, I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Harbaugh. But what Harbaugh has in his back pocket is my man, former Bulldog Todd Monken, who has a chance to go back-to-back national championships followed by a potential Super Bowl win. I don't think anyone's ever done that before. That would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, how often have you gone straight from college and then a coordinator and
doesn't happen?
That's a weird stat.
I'm just guessing it's never happened. I went deep into the archives. I didn't find what I was looking for, but I'm just going to
scoregami. It's a coachagami.
It's a coachagami. Thank you. It's a coachagami. Moving on to the other game. Lions 49ers, I have to say, if I'm a Lions fan, I think my biggest concern would be their ability to match up in coverage against all these weapons that Purdy is going to be throwing to.
Yeah.
250 passing yards allowed per game in the regular season for the Lions. That's 6th worst in the NFL. They gave up 349 to Baker Mayfield and 367 to my man, former Bulldog Matthew Stafford. And now they got to deal with Ayuk. They got to deal with Ayuk. They got to deal with Kittle.
Ayuk's playing? I mean, Debo. Is Debo playing?
We don't know yet. Apparently he's going to return to practice today as a limited participant, so we don't know. And then, of course, McCaffrey, who is he's just as dangerous catching the ball as he is running it. I don't know. It's a little scary to think about what the Lions are going to have to do here. However, if Debo does not play, the 49ers are 0-2 without Debo as a starter. Which is, I was really surprised to learn that, considering what they have. It just seems weird. The Lions have won despite their defense because their offense has been so good. But are we worried about the fact that in this one they're facing the 49ers defense with dudes like Chase and Bosa and Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw? Like, do you really think the Lions can overcome this?
And Ward on the back end.
Exactly. Do you think they can do it?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
I'm sorry to give a simple answer like that, but I just think it's going to. I'm looking at both of these games, and I'm looking at defenses that are going to tell the story. And I think if the Lions defense can't score can't stop the Niners, they're like, can't stop anybody. Can't stop a nosebleed, in the words of our boy Bart Scott, then And the 49ers defense, they're going to make you punt a couple times. If the offense is scoring and you're punting. Or going for the stupid fourth down and giving them the ball.
The other number that would have me really concerned as a Lions fan is that this year, with a clean pocket, Jared Goff has an 80% completion percentage. Under pressure, 50%.
Ooh.
I mean,
but he's looked good in the playoffs with pressure.
He has, but I'm just saying
standing in there better. Yeah,
these are the numbers. Yeah. I'm just saying with when you got that defense coming at you, and you're throwing at a 50% completion percentage, this could get ugly quick.
They have one of the best offensive lines in football, if not the best.
Which I feel is probably why the Lions' run game is likely their best chance at delivering an upset. If they can control the line of scrimmage, you got Gibbs and Montgomery, who have been a great 1-2 punch all year. The 49ers, here's another number I found. 49ers are 3-4 this year in games where they've allowed at least 100 yards rushing.
Ooh, nice stat there.
One of these wins coming in the last game against the Packers that they damn near lost. So, the other thing that we may be overlooking here is the fact that this game basically comes down to how well McCaffrey plays. He is the league rushing leader. He scored a fucking buttload of touchdowns. But the Lions do have the second best run defense in the NFL. Best runner versus second best run defense. I mean, let's fucking go.
Ask for more.
Let's fucking
go. What's name those good running backs in the NFC North that they played 6 times this year?
Right. Yeah.
The fumbling Vikings. They got Aaron Jones. Who else is up there?
Well, the Bears had like a weird combination of unreliable running backs for sure.
So maybe that's a bit of it.
That's a fair point. I didn't think about that. Another interesting one, obviously, turnovers matter. Purdy is 2-4 when throwing at least one pick. Goff is 4-4 when throwing at least one pick.
He don't mind. But Goff would throw it out there and then figure it out. Purdy, when he collapses. He looked bad last game, too. He looked bad in that Packers game.
He did.
They unlocked something. And
yeah. Another funny aspect to this game, doesn't really matter to this game. It's just a funny historical thing. The Lions have not won a road playoff game since 1957.
Wow.
And they have not beat San Francisco since 1975.
On the road or just at all?
Period.
Damn.
I actually think that this game, this is the least original statement.
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
This is a very unoriginal statement, but I feel like this game is either going to be a complete blowout or it's going to be a nail biter. Field goal with like zeros on the clock kind of vibe.
Man.
It could be a fucking smackdown.
Yeah.
It really, really
I don't want that, though. I want a fun game. It's been fun games this playoffs.
And then finally, there is the Super Bowl logo conspiracy, which may make this exercise of discussing the games just utterly useless. Maybe you heard about this. It's been going around. Have you seen this?
I've seen this dumb shit. You know I don't like stuff like this, man.
So
there's so many colors in the logo. It's so stupid. Why do we even talk about this?
Because it's funny and stupid. So the last few years, the colors used in the official Super Bowl logo have just happened to coincide with the colors of the teams that made the Super Bowl. It was orange and yellow a few years back when the Bengals and the Rams made it. Last year, it was green and red. So, of course, the Eagles and the Chiefs made it. This year's logo is red and purple. That means we're looking at 49ers versus Ravens Super Bowl. I guess last week you could have argued, well, it might be the Bucks and the Ravens.
Exactly.
If this happens 3 years in a row, I also think this is stupid. But if this happens 3 years in a row, the colors matching up like this, I demand an investigation.
No, it's gonna be people making bets next year. It's gonna be stupid. But there's so many colors in there. So many variations of color. You could have had the Titans, Jaguars, Dolphins. You could have had so much stuff in some of these in the logo.
I am, of course, hoping that the Lions kill this conspiracy narrative and it tracks by, taking that Honolulu blue all the way to the big dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always been one of my favorite things about the Lions that color is technically called Honolulu blue. Ever been to Detroit? Cool. I can't think of a city that reminds me less of Honolulu.
I can't think of a city that reminds me more of New Jack City. So,
ooh, that's a deep cut. I like that. Yo, where Pookie at?
Nah, I've never been to Detroit, so I don't know.
I've only sort of just passed.
I've driven through. Yeah, exactly. I've driven through Detroit.
That's all I got, man. I mean, I guess it's time to flip this shit and pick these games. There's only 2 of them, right?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it. I mean, it's my flip, but I might have a quarter. Oh,
your flip, my call.
Look at this.
Hey now,
you're an all-star. Get your game on.
Get paid.
All right. You gonna call it in the air?
Yeah.
All right. I'm flipping now.
Tails.
Tails it is.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, man. That man got tails.
Finally. Okay.
Do you want to go first, or do you want to? Oh, there's so many games to choose from.
I know. I think I'm gonna go second because I feel like the second game is the only one that feels. I know what I'm gonna pick. I obviously hope I'm wrong, but the first game.
What?
I'm not you. I'm going second.
You just don't want to pick against you don't want to pick the 49ers. You don't want. It could go as an upset too. No, we don't have upsets. Bro, the 49ers are going to win the game. What do you mean?
We'll see what I pick. I haven't decided yet.
I'm saying isn't that the first one? Lions 49ers?
Is it?
Oh, okay. No. I have it written there. Okay, so it's Chiefs Ravens.
Hold on.
No wonder. I was going to say, why would you not pick the...
Let me double... Jesus Christ. Let me double check.
I just have it written down here.
I'm pretty sure the first game... I had ESPN up a second ago. Where the fuck is it? I'm pretty sure the first game is... Yeah. Chiefs, Ravens are playing at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
On Sunday, and then the Lions and the 49ers.
Now I see why you went second. Okay. I had it written differently. All right. Well, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this game. I'm going to feel dumb if the Chiefs do, but I just think they're going to be good. It'll be fun to see Lamar in a big game, but I think they're just a better roster. Got to go with the roster. I didn't want to pick this.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because the Chiefs can win, but I got to go with the better roster.
In the next game, the NFC Championship game, the Lions will be playing the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I clearly have a complicated history with Kyle Shanahan. If they lose this game, it'll definitely... Just be prepared. If the 49ers lose this game, we come back to talk about these games next week, there will be a significant section of the podcast which will be dedicated to why this is Kyle Shanahan's fault. I guarantee it.
Do I have long enough game show music?
Just put it on a loop, bro. So everything in my heart wants to pick the Lions, but I'm going to go with my head. And I'm going to pick the 49ers. I think this is where the Cinderella story, unfortunately, will end for the Lions. The 49ers are just too stacked on both sides of the ball. The Lions are vulnerable in so many places, especially in their secondary. If Hutchinson, the only way the Lions win this game is if Aiden Hutchinson plays the game of his life, in my opinion. Because if Purdy has time, he's going to be picking them off all day long. He's just going to be slicing that defense up.
I think they're gonna have the defense on the hills, like running laterally. They're gonna be doing different motions and sweeps and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
McCaffrey every now and then right down that power run. Yeah.
Even my Shanahan hate cannot prevent me from picking the 49ers this week. I'm taking the 49ers.
Get it. All right, man. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. 2 good games. It's gonna be fun. And
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
Maybe I'll even join the chat group this week. What is that?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's on Messenger. You're in it.
I'm in it?
Yeah, if you're in our SveNFL pod group, then you can be in the group chat.
Fun.
On Messenger.
I'm probably not.
It's called Game Time.
Maybe I'll join it. Maybe I won't. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see, man. All right. Well, if your team's still in it, congratulations to you. You've had a really fun season. Those of you out there that we have some fan. I know we had a Buffalo Bills fan, a diehard that was in the chat. Felt bad for him.
Heartbreak.
Yeah. Damn. But I don't know if we have any. Yeah, we got Chiefs fans, definitely. I don't know if we have any Ravens fans.
I'm almost certain we got 49ers fans in there too.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
When they were good and shit.
I love you, 49ers fans, but I'm sorry. Fuck your coach.
It's been real, man. Another fun one. Conference games. Go check them out, y'all. Good luck to your team if they're still in there. And we'll be back, man, to talk about the results and who's going to the Super Bowl and all that stuff, man. It's been Jonathan Rollins.
Give me Sarah.
With SveNFL. Peace.
Later, y'all.